Hello, bunny fans. Welcome to another episode of the Bunny Coach podcast. When rabbit bonding takes months, I already know what's gone wrong, and it's usually not the rabbits. After doing over 290 bonds myself and supporting a couple of hundred people online bond their bunnies themselves, I see the same pattern over and over. People often come to me and say, will it take me months to bond my bunnies? Or I see people online who say, it took me 6 months or a year or 2 years to bond my rabbits. I'm just going to come right out and say it. If it's taken you that long, there's something gone very wrong. So if you've been bonding for months and you feel like you're stuck or you're going backwards, here are a number of common mistakes that I see. Mistake number 1, not enough consistent bonding time. Now, you might see online that you have to do at least 4 hours a day. I quite often have people coming to me saying it means that they're bonding well into the night and they're exhausted and the rabbits are exhausted. I'm a big believer in making it fit around your lifestyle. It's one of the parts of a tailor-made plan that I give you if you work with me, because I don't believe that it should stress you out. But you do have to be consistent with it. You do have to commit to it. So even short bonding sessions each day can make a big difference. So if I have somebody coming to me and say they've been bonding for 6 months or a year or 2 years, quite often this is the case that they've started or they've not done consistent sessions across that time. So the bunnies are actually confused because sometimes they're together and sometimes they're not, and there's no routine. They really are creatures of routine and they like predictability. So it can become part of their day where they go together into the bonding pen. And without that, it can make it very difficult for them to establish a hierarchy, which I'm sure you've heard me say before is so important to them. They need to sort out their hierarchy before they can actually become friends. Mistake number 2 is not changing things when something isn't working. So if your bond is stuck, it could be that you're trying to do the same thing over and over, the same setup, the same routine, the same method. And if you've ever heard that expression, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, that expression was made for rabbit bonding. Which leads me to mistake number 3, changing things up too often. I often see people going backwards and forwards where they're making the pen bigger, they're making it smaller, they're making it bigger again. And instead of learning how to read the behaviours and understanding what the rabbits are saying to each other, knowing when to step in and when to step back, and when you have to step in, knowing exactly how to step in to get them out of that fight mode cycle, what they do is they keep changing the setup, making the pen bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. And don't get me wrong, adjusting the space is part of bonding. But if you're constantly changing things without understanding why and without any kind of strategy or structure, you're just stuck in a loop. Mistake number 4 is rushing the bonding. So people are often tempted to rush through the bonding, and if the rabbits seem like they're coexisting okay, then they're tempted to expand and then move them into their final living space, give them free roam space and time, or start leaving them unsupervised. And then what can happen is the rabbits can seem like everything is fine until it isn't. And that makes you have to reset, but because you don't know exactly what went wrong or where or why, it's very difficult to know what to fix. And mistake number 5, becoming the third rabbit in your bond. This is something I see quite often as well, where because owners are unclear on when to step in or when to step back, they get over involved in the bond and so accidentally become part of the hierarchy. And that means the rabbits can't work out their own hierarchy and learn to communicate together without you being involved as well. It is a very difficult part of bonding where you have to step back a bit from giving them as much attention as they're used to. But what we want ultimately is a really strong bond between the bunnies, and then you can reinsert yourself back into the bond later on. Once that hierarchy is established and the bond is nice and strong, so don't worry. But if you try to control every interaction, step in constantly, or don't let them communicate properly, then that's going to slow everything down. One of the things I see rabbit owners struggle the most with is knowing exactly when to step in and how, and when to step back. Because the problem is if you step in too early and don't let them have dominant behaviours, they can't work out that all-important hierarchy. And they don't know where they stand, so they won't bond at all, or it'll be very slow, or the bond won't be strong. But if you step in too late, you risk an injury. It is a really, really fine line, but it is something that I can teach you. That's the reason that all of my bonding options include videos of actual bonding sessions that I have done, with each behaviour explained as to what the rabbits are saying to each other, whether you need to step in or not, and if so, how, so that you can step in safely and help get them back on track quickly. So if your bonding seems to be going on for months, just giving it more time is not going to fix anything. It's about reading, adjusting and guiding the process properly. And this is not something that comes second nature to any of us. The rabbits behave very differently when they're bonding than they do with us. And this is something you've never done before. But bonding is a skill that you can learn. And once you can interpret what the rabbits are saying to each other and what's going on, it makes the whole thing much easier. So if you feel as though your bond is going backwards, or you're not progressing at all, or you feel like bonding is just stuck, there's usually a specific reason behind it. So if this is you, I offer a 30-minute Zoom call. It's just €35. You can share videos with me of your bonding sessions and we can look at it together so that I can explain to you what the rabbits are saying to each other, whether you stepped in at the right moment or not, and how to calm things down and how to get things moving again. Let's get you unstuck and your rabbits moving towards their happy ever after. I'll put the link in the comments. I hope you found that helpful. Thanks for listening to the Bunny Coach podcast. I look forward to chatting to you next time.